one thing, this hype train stops for nobody.
I need to get back to training. I went home for a few weeks. There's a few reasons why I had to go home, but
to be here with PFL, so I'm just trying to soak everything up really and just enjoy every moment of it.
She laughed at Dakota Ditcheva, but inside the cage, the smile disappeared fast. What followed was one of the most epic moments in Dakota's entire career. Dakota Ditcheva has always been known for her calm demeanor, technical precision, and ruthless striking. But one of the earliest and most unforgettable examples of her talent came in a fight where her opponent made a big mistake. She laughed at Dakota before stepping into the cage. Levi Steeman arrived full of confidence, even mocking Dakota in interviews, insisting that she didn't care how she won and that she was going to take Dakota's undefeated record. She spoke with boldness, casually mentioning she would beat Dakota, whether it became a slugfest or a wrestling match. She laughed while talking about the fight. But what she didn't know was that this would be the last time she ever laughed about Dakota Ditcheva. When the cage door closed on May 25, 2019, in one of Dakota's early amateur fights, everything changed. Levi entered with the same confidence she displayed all week. But the moment the first bell rang, Dakota stepped forward with a cold, focused expression and fought like she had been preparing for this exact moment her entire life. Dakota immediately took the center of the cage with a rhythm that showed she was calm, prepared, and fully in control. Her long frame and natural striking instincts gave her an instant advantage as she used her jab, her reach, and her timing to dictate the pace. Levi tried to close distance, but every attempt was met with a brutal knee straight down the middle. Dakota's knees were the weapon that separated the two fighters dramatically in round one. Anytime Levi tried to shoot in or step forward, Dakota punished her with a clean knee that stopped her dead in her tracks. The crowd reacted loudly each time that long, powerful knee drilled into Levi's body. Commentators repeatedly warned that Levi couldn't take many more of those, and they were right. Dakota's knees were landing with frightening precision. Levi, coming from SPG Manchester, had a decent all-around skill set, but Dakota's Muay Thai background was on full display. Her posture was perfect, her balance sharp, and her ability to frame, control, and strike inside the clinch made her look like a fighter levels ahead. Even when Levi managed to push Dakota against the cage, Dakota kept landing knees to the stomach and ribs. Because it was an amateur bout, knees to the head weren't allowed, but Dakota's long legs still created constant danger. Levi tried her best to mix things up with takedown attempts, level changes, and scrambles, but Dakota kept shutting them down with calm, calculated technique. She maintained cross-face frames, stripped grips, and made Levi uncomfortable in every grappling exchange. Levi finally managed to drag Dakota to the ground in the later part of the round, slowing the pace and trying to find a moment to breathe. From her back, Dakota still stayed composed, using her long limbs to defend submissions and control posture until the round ended. The crowd erupted when Dakota stood up confidently, raising her hands. That first round sent a clear message. Whatever Levi had said before the fight no longer mattered. Dakota had taken control. Round two began with Levi showing tremendous heart. Instead of folding after a tough round, she tightened her guard, moved her head more, and pushed forward with determination. She even managed to land some clean counters and disrupt Dakota's rhythm momentarily. Levi's forward pressure made the round more competitive, and she showcased why many people considered her a rising talent as well. She shot for takedowns, forced Dakota against the cage, and landed a handful of good shots of her own. But Dakota's experience, even at a young age, showed every time she defended a takedown, landed a knee in the clinch, or stepped just out of range before countering. Dakota fought without panic, without rushing, and without losing her composure. When Levi increased chaos, Dakota increased precision. She landed a stiff right hand off a break, re-established distance, and slipped several of Levi's wild shots before firing her own. The crowd reacted every time Dakota connected cleanly. By the midpoint of round two, Levi was breathing heavier, and her entries were becoming more desperate. Dakota, however, kept her posture upright and her eyes focused, throwing sharp punches and setting traps whenever Levi tried to attack. Levi scored a big moment with a slam takedown, giving her a surge of confidence and control on the ground. This was her best moment of the fight. She landed short strikes, kept control, and minimized Dakota's offense. But even on her back, Dakota refused to panic. She used rubber guard, wrist control, and defensive framing to stay safe, and waited patiently for the referee or the opening she needed to escape. Despite Levi's improvements in round 2, Dakota still managed to land the cleaner shots, including several big knees in the clinch that echoed through the arena. When the round ended, commentators noted that Levi likely won the round due to control time, but Dakota had remained dangerous throughout. Round 3 became the deciding frame, and Dakota entered it with the mindset of a warrior determined to leave no doubt. She returned to what had worked best: sharp striking, long-range control, and devastating knees. The moment the round began, Dakota stalked Levi with a calm, confident rhythm. She threw a clean right-left combination early, followed by more knees that slammed directly into Levi's midsection. Levi responded by attempting takedowns, but Dakota defended expertly each time, using her cross-face to break position and landing counters immediately thereafter. Levi fought with heart, pushing forward, reaching for legs, trying to pull Dakota down with sheer determination. But Dakota was simply too sharp, too composed, and too technically prepared. As the round progressed, Dakota kept landing the same strike that had defined the entire fight: long, punishing, perfectly timed knees. Every time Levi lowered her level, Dakota's knee came flying up the middle. Every time Levi tried to clinch, Dakota created space just enough to drive another knee into her ribs. The damage accumulated quickly. Dakota also picked her shots beautifully at range: jabs, straight rights, and check hooks that stopped Levi's forward pressure. Levi's toughest moments came in the final minute of the fight, where Dakota's accuracy and timing separated her completely. Even when Levi managed to drag Dakota into another scramble, Dakota escaped, framed, and punished her with more knees before resetting to striking range. By the time the final horn sounded, Levi's early confidence, the same confidence that led her to laugh at Dakota days earlier, had vanished completely. Both fighters stood in the center as the judges prepared their decision, but it was clear to everyone in the arena who had won. Dakota Ditcheva had delivered a masterful performance, mixing dominance in round 1, composure under pressure in round 2, and championship finishing instincts in round 3. When the scorecards were read, all 3 judges ruled unanimously in Dakota's favor. Dakota Ditcheva's victory over Levi Steeman became one of the earliest examples of why mocking Dakota is always a mistake. The fight was not just a display of striking skill, it was a lesson in composure, timing, discipline, and controlled aggression. Dakota walked into the cage calm, confident, and focused, and she walked out proving she was on a different level. For Levi, the fight was a reality check. She believed she could overpower Dakota, out-grapple her, and drag her into chaos. But instead, she spent 3 rounds dealing with the same brutal pattern. Every attempt to enter resulted in a knee to the body. Every takedown attempt was answered with resistance and framing, and every striking exchange was won by Dakota's precision and timing. Levi's early laughter, meant to intimidate, had evaporated long before the judges read the scores. She may have underestimated Dakota, but Dakota never underestimated her. That difference defined the fight. As Dakota's career progressed, this victory became a clear example of her mentality. She never engages in trash talk, she never gets emotional, and she never lets outside noise affect her performance. Every fight is handled with the same cold, clinical mindset she displayed that night. This fight also showed the foundation of what Dakota would later perfect in her professional career. Her long-range striking, her deadly knees, her ability to stuff takedowns with smart frames and balance, and her talent for breaking an opponent's confidence piece by piece. Even as a young athlete, she understood the importance of distance control. Levi, despite her grit, struggled to close the distance because Dakota constantly intercepted her with teeps, jabs, and especially knees. These weren't random strikes. They were perfectly timed responses designed to punish the exact entries Levi relied on. Dakota wasn't simply fighting, she was teaching. She was showing the difference between a striker who reacts and a striker who anticipates. And while Levi had moments of success, especially on the ground, Dakota never let those moments overwhelm her. She stayed patient, used her guard intelligently, waited for openings, and escaped with calm precision. That patience is now part of what makes her one of the fastest rising stars in the world. As Dakota evolved into a global MMA phenomenon, fans began looking back at fights like this one to understand how her style was shaped. The knee-heavy approach she used against Levi became one of her trademarks in later fights against far more experienced athletes. The long-range jab she flashed in this fight would later become the weapon she uses to shut down world-class strikers. The composure she demonstrated on the ground foreshadowed the dominant grappler she would eventually become in the PFL cage. This wasn't just an amateur fight, it was a preview of the elite champion she would grow into. Levi's pressure, while admirable, exposed nothing Dakota wasn't prepared for. Every attempt to break Dakota's rhythm only revealed Dakota's ability to adjust. The fight showed she could win with technique, toughness, intelligence, and endurance. When Dakota finally turned professional, the fight against Levi became a contrast point, showing how much she had improved. Everything that worked against Levi became even more polished, and everything she struggled with became a strength. She tightened her takedown defense, sharpened her elbows, improved her scrambles, and added powerful ground and pound to her skill set. Fans who watched Dakota's early fights now see the roots of her dominance, her Muay Thai base, her timing on knees, her composure during pressure, and her ability to stay dangerous no matter the position. This evolution is what separates champions from contenders. Dakota didn't just rely on natural talent. She refined it with years of disciplined training, high-level coaching, and a champion's mindset. But beyond Dakota's growth, the emotional storyline behind this fight remains one of the most memorable parts. Levi Steeman underestimated Dakota because she saw a calm, quiet young fighter who didn't respond to provocation. That silence was misread as weakness. Instead, it was focus. Dakota has always believed that her fighting should do the talking, and in this fight, it spoke loudly. Levi came in laughing, confident she could impose her will, but she left the cage humbled by a fighter who was already levels beyond her, despite lacking professional experience. That contrast, not between skill sets, but between attitudes, is what fans remember most. Dakota never needed to mock or intimidate. She simply executed her game plan with cold precision. This personality trait would later intimidate far more experienced fighters in the PFL and on the international stage. In the broader context of Dakota's career, this fight symbolized how she handles disrespect. When an opponent mocks her, she grows sharper. When they laugh, she becomes even more focused. When they underestimate her, she makes them regret it. This pattern has continued throughout her rise to global recognition. Many opponents who overlooked Dakota before stepping into the cage found themselves overwhelmed by her timing, speed, and intelligence. Levi was simply the first example. Dakota's reaction to disrespect is never emotional. It is professional destruction. She turns mockery into motivation, and she turns pressure into performance. This psychological strength is part of what makes her one of the brightest young stars in combat sports today. The fight with Levi also gave fans an early preview of Dakota's killer instinct. Even though she was young and still learning, she had that champion switch, the ability to sense momentum, increase pace, and dominate the final minutes of a fight. In round 3, she didn't coast. She didn't play safe. She pushed forward, threw more volume, landed more knees, and ensured that Levi could not steal the round. Finishing strong is a champion trait, and Dakota demonstrated it long before winning her first major title. That final round displayed her maturity, her IQ, and her hunger to prove herself. Against Levi, Dakota may not have gotten a knockout, but she earned something far more important: respect from everyone watching. Looking back, the fight is now part of Dakota's origin story. The moment fans realized she was different, not just skilled, not just talented, different. The way she handled pressure, the way she stayed calm, the way she punished mistakes, the way she carried herself before, during, and after the fight showed the mindset of someone destined for greatness. Levi's laughter became a footnote. Dakota's performance became a highlight. That night, fans saw a glimpse of the future, a future where Dakota Ditcheva would rise to become a world champion, a global star, and one of the most dangerous fighters of her generation. Now, years later, when people look back at this fight, They don't remember Levi Steeman's pre-fight confidence. They remember what Dakota did afterwards. They remember the knees. They remember the dominance. They remember the lesson. Never underestimate Dakota Ditcheva. Because when you laugh at her, the ending is always the same. She makes you pay for every word.